Hi, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, or I should say in this video, I'm going to make multiple videos today, but we're going to focus on the Crosman Premier 14.3, also known as the Walmart pellet in my FX Impact M4. This is the Crosman Premier 14.3 hollow point. They do make the Piranha, they make the Domed, they make the Destroyer, something like that, but this is the one that's available at my Walmart. This is one of the only pellets that I can get where I live. The other ones are the Gammo. Anyway, they have thinner skirts, and a lot of the time they're dented, and I have not found them to shoot very accurately at speeds that are worth shooting at. I've shot these typically in the past too fast. Too fast for what? Too fast for people's opinions. I'm a little bit of a contrarian. Sometimes I think that there are standards that can be stuck to, and sometimes things just work. I was shooting these originally at 970 feet per second, and really getting pretty decent accuracy for $8 per 500 pellets from my local Walmart. The reason I bought this M4 was with the intent to compete. When I compete, and I come from centerfire pistols, I shoot a lot. There's no substitute for trigger time. Dry firing and stuff helps a lot, but there's no substitute for trigger time. And especially something like an air gun where it's just wildly affected by humidity and wind and all these sorts of things. Trigger time is trigger time. So I wanted to be able to shoot really cheap pellets. I'm not a cheapskate. I would buy the JSB stuff, but a lot of what I'm doing for trigger time, especially at my house, is inside of 50 yards. This still gives you a feel for how the gun shoots, just the harmonics of everything. It just tunes you in with the gun when you pull the trigger a lot. And so right now, since I'm so new to this stuff, and new to air guns, just in general, and tuning and all these sorts of things, I understand the concepts very well, but I haven't tinkered with it to really feel it for myself. I wanted to do a lot of shooting, and then I wanted to do a lot of shooting very cheap, just so I'm not thinking about, well, you know, can I afford a $20 per day pellet tin habit? If I changed my priorities, I could, but I'm just a working guy like the rest of you, or most of you probably. So I just want to shoot a cheap pellet, and pesting around the house and all that sort of stuff is always inside of 50 yards. So I want to shoot pellets that are really good inside of 50 yards that are cheap, and that's just the way it is. In transparency, I've already set the gun up a little bit just to kind of play around with it. When I got here, I was set on, I don't have a SecMet gauge on this thing. It's still got the factory gauge, but it looks like it's about 108 bar. And it's been sitting there for quite a while, really since I kind of did my original adjustment on it. I haven't really screwed around with it too much. Normally, I'm shooting now either the AEA 25 or the Knockout 25, which is going to be my new heavy standard. Whole nother video. I have this 108 bar. I put it on my Power Wheel 16, and that's roughly 4.5 on my micro wheel. And then I'm running right about 5 lines on my valve. I'm not saying that that's a great spot to put your gun. I'm just simply telling you that's where mine is sitting, and I haven't really screwed with it that much. I just tweak things a little bit here and there just for fun. When I shoot these Crosman Premier 14.3 from Walmart, I'm still at that 108 bar, and I'm not saying that's the correct pressure. I'm at 2.5 on my micro wheel, and I was shooting at like 4 lines or 5 lines because I wasn't adjusting it at all on my valve. And once again, this is the Impact M4. It's going to be very similar for the M3 and probably the M2 and all that stuff also. So when I got up here to the jungle, to my range, it was at 4 lines, and I shot it, and it was shooting pretty hot. I think it was shooting like 980 something. So I cranked it down to 3 lines, and it shot like 954. And I actually wanted to go a little bit slower than that, so I cranked it down to 2 lines, and when I got to 2 lines, it went to 735 feet per second, which would actually still be pretty cool around the house, and I would get like 300 shots out of the bottle. I wanted to shoot a little bit faster than that. I just found that really interesting, that one line from 3 to 2 was very dramatic in how it changed. So I'm sitting on 2.5. I went all the way back to 3, and then I dialed it back. On the knob, there is like a hole in it, so you can get a couple of those hole turns in each line. So I went all the way to 3 until the hole was perfect on the line 3 on the valve, and then I spun it back a half turn. And when I did that, I'm sitting right on 960. I shot 4 shots in a row, and they were all 960 exactly. So that's kind of telling me that the gun's in a happy place. And that's hotter than I actually wanted to shoot them. I was expecting to be shooting them at like 9:10 to 9:30 today. I don't know why, but it's shooting 960 and it's shooting 960 perfectly, so I don't want to change that. I've got a piece of steel down at 50 yards, and I have shot a few times, like I said, to dial this in and so that I could get it to 960 or find a sweet spot. And I'm going to make note of this little setting in my personal notes, and so when I go home, if this is as accurate as I think it might be, I'll be able to use that as my home setting and have a really fast, cheap pellet that I can pest with, that I can just hose with, and all of that. Enough rambling, let's get to shooting. I'm sure that you guys will be happy to see that I now have a scope cam, and that means that you're gonna see my pesting videos better now. You don't have to see as much grainy, crappy footage. So we are taking this at 50. I am going to start at this lower plate. Once again, I'm shooting off cheap eBay sandbag that I filled with sand from the beach, and I had to glue all the seams together on because they're really cheap and crappy. But I just got it sitting on my rickety rock wall here that you've seen in the other videos, and I have fired one dry fire shot just to settle everything, the air and everything. And now we're gonna put this mag at 50 yards. We're gonna start on the lower plate, and we are on we'll call it 19 power for those curious with the scope cam. And once again, I'm always covered in bugs in the jungle, so here we go. See where this goes. I'm gonna aim just a little tiny bit high on the plate, and so we can get a mark. All right, we are going to use that mark as our 0. All right, here we go. It's gonna be fairly rapid fire. Let's say 5 seconds between shots. Turn this camera back on. All right, there we go. We're empty. That was 28 shots with the Walmart Crosman Premier hollow point. And you saw that that was fairly rapid fire. I'll probably speed up half the mag, so I don't bore you to tears with that. And so that is 24 zoom on my Element Helix. And let me get it a little bit clearer. And we'll hit zoom on the scope cam. All right, you can see that group shooting through the grass. Not too shabby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you up to that group now, and so you can see it with my thumb, or maybe I'll grab a shoot and see or something like that, so you can see the actual size. Actually, I'm going to take this Walmart pellet tin with me, and so you guys can measure one of these and you can see the group for reals. All right, I decided to turn this camera back on so you guys can see for real that I'm not faking it. So everybody on YouTube's either a faker or trying to convince everybody that they're not a faker. And 25-yard mark is back here roughly. So I'll just step it up for you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and those maybe weren't perfect steps, but you get the point. So there is my Walmart Crosman Premier hollow point group, full magazine, from my FX Impact M4. That is the pellet tin for size reference. And you can see the entire 28 round group all right there, rapid fire at 50 yards. Every single one of those is in a squirrel's head or neck. Mongoose in my case. Bird's body, everything is basically as fast as you would want to fire this M4. Unless you were like in competition, and then still that might not even be that bad for the amateur class in competition. I'm going to end the video on that. I am going to shoot more videos today, but this one's probably already plenty long enough. I just wanted to show that you can shoot cheap pellets pretty damn accurately and get trigger time practice. Hopefully Walmart doesn't try and jack these pellets up and make them more expensive just because everybody's going to start buying them. We'll call it a 2-inch group at 50 yards. It could be tighter than that. Some of that's probably my hold. I'm brand new to air guns. I'm not super consistent with my hold. Sometimes I feel like I can dial my scope around and then I just change my hold and it goes back to my old 0. That's just the way it is. That's what setting I'm using. Shoots 960 feet per second in this humidity, and that's where we're at.
A few moments later.
Thanks for watching. If you like it, like the video. Share it, whatever you do. All right, thanks guys.